Hello viewers, in this lecture I'm going to teach you about the projectile motion. In this lecture I will let you know some terminologies. Otherwise, we will talk about projectile motion, equation, derivations in other lecture. This is part 1 of this lecture. In this lecture you're going to learn the terminologies, and another part you will be known about the equations or derivations that are used. First of all, projectile motion is a motion by which an object is thrown, and there is a factor that when the object is thrown in the vertical direction, it by its own self creates a curve. Now, this condition is known as projectile motion. The projectile motion is motion under the gravity. Like when gravity acts on the body, so when we throw it, the force we apply just make it move to the center, and from here the gravity starts working on it and it comes downwards. Now this curve is known as projectile motion. By the resistance of the air, the projectile motion can be diffracted or affected. Let me tell you in detail by an diagram. First of all, let me show you the structure. This is the initial point. Just suppose there is a person who is standing here and he throws a ball. Now, this is the direction of the ball. Now, the angle at which he thrown the ball is known as angle of the projectile. Okay. This is the initial velocity. We can say at initial velocity, origin, as well as launching pad. Launching pad is mostly used, but these two words are also denoted to the starting. Now here, when body moves upwards, there is an y-axis as well as x-axis. Now the force in x-axis is maximum, while the force in the y-axis is 0. Now as body moves upwards, the gravitational force acting on it is minus, because we know that when a body moves upwards, the gravitational force is minus. So here the gravitational force is minus. The time from here to here taken is known as time of flight. Now the body from here to here is known as range of the projectile. The motion occurs from this point to this point. Secondly, the condition in which the initial velocity, the acceleration becomes 0 is known as the center of that condition. And from that, the gravitational field starts working on it and it becomes positive because the body starts moving downwards. Now, the distance from this point, ground point, to the maximum height is denoted with h, while the time taken here is denoted by t. Now, let me clear you that the time from this point to this point is known as time of flight. Total time is known as total time of projectile. Okay. Now, I was telling you that here the gravitational force will become positive. Now here the y-axis acceleration becomes maximum, and here the y-axis starts working and it also has some magnitude, or we can say that it becomes variable or it starts changing. Now the final place of that object is known as final point, terminal point, origin. If the word origin is used, so the ending is known as terminal. If the word initial is used, the final would be known as final. And if the word launching is used, we will use the word landing pad. Now, here, there is a condition for the angle. If we have to take the projectile motion, for that the minimum angle that is required is 15 angle. The object should be thrown in the angle by which minimum the angle should be 15. Maximum it should be 45. And we should be clear about that the angle like from the initial to the final combinedly should be 76. Now these are the conditions for the projectile motion. Let me tell you about some terminologies. The path here like this curve is known as parabola. Now from this initial point to the final point, the path that is followed by the body is known as trajectory. The style of the path, now let me just clear you, the curve of the path is known as parabola. Otherwise, the style of the path is known as parabolic. Now, we know that the motion that the body just occurs is the projectile motion. And that's all about today's lecture. Thank you for watching.